That's why I cut all mine off.
What?
That's why I cut all mine off.
Can't get a haircut right now.
Well, I do mine, so it's cheaper. It looks worse. It's easier. Just kind of buzz it all off.
It's not a bad idea. I don't know. My face is kind of chubby, so I look bad with shaved head.
Well, you can just make it a stream donation goal, and at least you could like pay some dollar bills all over your head. Be like having hair.
Yeah, I got enough. Give me enough dollar bills so I can buy a Peloton and 10 years worth of membership, and we'll talk.
I guess they'd be loonies for us.
No, I want dollar bills. Just because.
Like a $5, it just seems like it's too much money to cover your head with, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Unless you want to have like long hair, I guess.
Yeah, but it's still just.
Can we just start this goddamn pod? I can't talk to you anymore. Can you just hit go live? Like I'm so goddamn sick of hearing your voice outside of professional capacity. Can you just hit the go live button, please?
This is why Troy Denning doesn't want to be on the podcast. All right. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Tapcaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast hosted by Mr. EckhartsLadder and myself, Corey Loses. You're in for a treat tonight because we've got the real, genuine Shards of Alderaan tonight. So I'm excited. I don't know how are you? How are you doing, Eck? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I only managed to get a Shard of Alderaan, so we might need to change the title, but still, yeah, pretty.
Well, I got the rest, so I got you covered.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I read a Star Wars book. I played a Star War earlier today. Like, what else could you want?
Which Star War did you play today?
Empire at War.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to.
It seems like one of those games that you could put like 10,000 hours into for over the course of like a decade.
I'm hoping to get there someday. I'm probably just shy, but
that's insane.
The forums for the mod used to they track online time, and when I just tipped over 365 days of online time back in the day, I was that's when I really realized that I have nothing going on in my life.
That's not great, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a lot of. That's 365 times 24. That's already 8,760 hours.
Well, it was a whole year of Why did you go from 365 days to hours? Is hours more understandable?
Because we talked about 10,000 hours earlier, and you said I'm almost there.
Well, I didn't really.
If that were back in the day, you're there.
Yeah, well, I don't really go on those forums anymore. I don't think anyone really does. But either way, we're talking about Young Jedi Knights, Shards of Alderaan, the start of a new storyline, story arc, plot for all of our Young Jedi Knights. So yeah.
Yeah, so we're in the Diversity Alliance arc, which I assume is SJW propaganda, right?
Clearly.
Yeah. So we're in the Diversity Alliance arc, although in this book, not really. We're mostly in the gang doesn't care about Raynar Thule arc right now.
Yeah.
Or Luke Skywalker, apparently.
Luke.
Did you pick up on that? So the whole point of the book basically is that it's Leia's birthday, but
Hey, yeah, that's true. They have the same one, don't they?
It's also Luke's. And nobody even mentions it the entire time. No one gives a shit.
What do you get the Jedi Master who has everything?
I don't know, video games or something? Do
you think Luke plays a video game? Do you think Luke's big on the Star Wars Squadrons?
I mean, well, Anakin had his little Game Gear, so I assume.
So you're thinking that Luke and Anakin spent a lot of time gaming together?
Well, not together. I just think that they both probably had their vices or their things that they did outside of. I heard Darth Vader had a N64 emulator installed in his suit.
Well, Luke's vice is hot chocolate. So is he just drinking
hot chocolate? That's true. Yeah. And that's something you can't really get unless like Yavin has cocoa beans. Like,
Well, Peckham probably imports it. That's what most of the lightning rod's cargo capacity is. It's just hot chocolate for Luke.
you might be right.
Then it all
Either
got
way,
exploded when the bomb went off in the temple.
I'm not saying they gotta give him a gift, but I'm saying like wish the man happy birthday.
Yeah, that's fair. Like
Yeah.
maybe just even have him in the scene with Leia and the kids. Like that's all. Don't even need to give him a gift. Just acknowledge the man.
Yeah.
Like I'm sick
So
of these stories that just like shit on the legacy of Luke Skywalker. Ruins it totally.
yeah, I agree.
Like a different character.
I will say too. So it's Luke's birthday and Leia's birthday. That's one major plot. The other major plot is that it's Raynar Thul's. His dad has been kidnapped, or well, he's not kidnapped. He's missing.
Yeah.
And
No
I'm
one's
sure we'll
very
find
upset about this. It's just kind of a mild inconvenience
Yeah.
for everyone else.
Yeah, the kids go on like a happy-go-lucky adventure, and it's like maybe invite Raynar. Like they're like instead just leave, and they're like Raynar looks sad, and they just leave. So
Well,
it's like
Raynar, it even says like Raynar is spending all his time like trying to follow them around and help them, and just like, no, you can stay here. We don't want you with us. But this is picking up right after the Shadow Academy attack on Yavin. For anyone who hasn't read Jedi Under Siege, so the temple is a real mess. They're working on putting it back together. They're trying to.
they say it's the worst it's ever been. I don't understand how it fared better than Natasi Dalla's attack, or fared worse than under Dalla's attack.
Well, this time there was a bomb that went off directly in it rather than just a failed attack on it. So
that's true.
it's like
But,
most of the
they were
damage
also-
was done in the bomb afterwards.
Fair enough.
So we get kind of like an initial subplot of that, and then the main plot is the kids are going to Alderaan to find a gift for Leia. They want to get part of the planet for her. I was hoping they'd come back with like part of Bael's femur or something, but I think that's probably too hard to find. And there's Raynar's father getting kidnapped, so that's kind of going on in the background. And there's Boba Fett, who we get introduced to in a chapter. And because it's such a short book, like a subplot here means like a few paragraphs and then they show up in one other thing. So we got Zek trying to find himself, Boba trying to find Raynar's dad, Raynar missing his dad and being misunderstood by the Jedi kids, and Tenel Ka gets a ship. Those are kind of the main story threads we go through here. But, surprise, it's not Boba Fett.
What do you mean?
It's not Boba Fett in this book. It's his daughter.
It's not?
It's
It
Island
is?
Belle. Yeah.
Did it say that?
It doesn't in the book. It gets retconned later as not being Boba Fett.
Oh, okay. So she's using like a voice changer or something?
Yeah, because she often impersonates her father, and
Until she died.
he's like, there's some other stuff that was inconsistent with other appearances of Boba. So at some point they're just like, yeah, this is Island actually.
I mean, I guess that helps explain why she didn't manage to kill the kids.
Yeah,
she's just not.
Why
quite
she
as
got
good
beaten by Zek in a beaten up freighter, and then the Falcon comes in. There were I'm a little bit sketchy on some of the details on some of that because there was. I'm reading the ebook versions of these. I have the hardcover, or not the hardcover. I have the paperback version of some of these, but
did your lawyer tell you to say that?
No, you did not. But the ebooks were, I think, written by someone when they were super lit, because especially towards the end, there are a lot of lines that are just messed up symbols. So I missed a few details there.
Yeah, I was reading the ebook for this one, and like you said, it's a mess. So I swapped to the Droid made audiobooks on YouTube, and they were actually much better. The only issue that I encountered was that every time it said Tenel Ka, the robot thought Ka was short for Kansas, so it kept saying Tenel Kansas.
Do we know it's not?
Well, I was confused because I was like, I thought it said like Tenel Can says something. I was like, what the fuck? Did like somebody have a heart attack while writing this page? And then I go check, and it's like, no, this is just like robot stuff.
Yeah.
Like the robot needs to work through this one.
Yeah. So we open up with the scenes working on the temple, and there's a line that says like the survivors are working on it, and
Nobody died.
I didn't really get the sense that anyone had died in the
No.
previous book who wasn't working for the Shadow Academy. Like,
Mhm.
are there dead Jedi children?
Possible.
Like, is there a prequel to this book called Dead Jedi Knights?
It's possible. I do like that we got clarity on the fact that Zek did purposely, because we had a discussion about this. Zek did purposely save the kids
Mm-hmm.
from the bomb. So that was a nice bit of clarity.
Yeah. So that's good, because like we get a scene of like Zek being asleep, and like he's having nightmares about
Not
Tamith
facing
Kai and
consequences. Oh
Brachus.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, how is he faces a consequence later when he gets the best joke in the series aimed at him, when they're in a little pool and Jaina's like, "What are we waiting around for?" And Jason really tries throughout the entire series, but Jaina comes out with the best joke of the series there. I'm making it official. Best joke.
Damn, dude doesn't even want to read the rest of the books yet.
Well,
How many? We must be
I've
halfway
read the
through
books
now, are we?
before. I think there's 7 left.
And we must have read about 7. Or I think this is 6, maybe?
Yeah, I think
Isn't
this
it
is book
5?
6, and then there's what, 14 of them?
Yeah. Man, that bums me out. I'm having so much fun with these every week.
Young Jedi. You're just afraid of having to go back to reading adult books, aren't you? Yeah, there's this is number 7, then there's 1, 2, 3, then there's 7 more after this. So we are at the halfway point. There's still Diversity Alliance, Illusions of Grandeur, Jedi Bounty, Emperor's Plague, Return to Ord Mantell, Trouble on Cloud City, and then finally Crisis at Crystal Reef.
Mm-hmm.
So
Don't worry,
we still
then
got
we
a
have
lot of
Young
adventures
Jedi
here.
Knights. Or Junior Jedi Knights.
Yeah, there's Junior Jedi Knights. There's Jedi Apprentice. Like, we can go back and read about Obi-Wan and Anakin's time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
speaking of, we do see Anakin in this one as well. Not that Anakin, but Anakin's soul.
yeah. So this is all part of the repair the temple subplot, and Anakin comes up with the great idea that they should get this, fix the temple.
Mm-hmm.
What an amazing idea he has. Like, oh, it's a puzzle.
Yeah,
You
I
just
just
gotta
imagine the
take
New
it
Republic
apart and
Engineering Corps is like, oh, it's
put
like,
it
don't say
back
anything. That's the Chief of
together.
State's kid.
Yeah.
All these kids are so goddamn spoiled. Like Rainer Thul's over here, like just struggling because his dad's missing in action. Han comes on 3 different occasions, brings a gift each time. And one of the gifts is a personal starship, so these 15-year-olds can go fuck off to the Alderaan system.
Yeah. Handel Ka needs a personal starship. It's a bit of a fixer-upper, but that's just because she wants to blend in with the pores. So,
Yeah, these kids aren't super relatable.
yeah, and this whole arc is about how the rich royal kids go and fight against social justice throughout the galaxy. That's what it's...
Steal bits of a desecrated and destroyed planet. It's like fucking colonizers, man.
I don't know how I'd feel about that gift if I was them. Or if I was Leia. Like, that's probably some pretty valuable metal, though.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that gets. Is like, could probably build some nice ships out of that.
Yeah, I mean they should have mined that place ages ago, right?
Yeah, it would have been a much better book if they'd been attacked by, like, Remember Alderaan or whatever the ship was called. That would have been, instead of Boba Fett, have that frigate come in, and then Tycho has to save them.
It's like somebody who doesn't want them to give like someone. It's like they think it's like the heart of Alderaan, like the planet's core, but really it's just like a vaporized baby. Like maybe don't like go through our graveyard and pick what you want.
Kind of gross.
Yeah, very gross.
So what were your overall thoughts on this one compared to the prior ones? Are you more excited to get into this arc, or are you going to miss the
I was
Shadow
done with
Academy?
the Shadow Academy arc, to be honest. It's because I thought it
forgot
was
how
too
long it took.
Yeah, and I thought it was a little too like. I end up liking the kind of adventure of the weeks a bit more because like they usually throw in like a main arc thing, and then it'd be like Tanaka cuts her arm off. So I like that we're getting back to kind of that style. I do think I don't really remember what the diversity alliance is, but it seems like it's going to be a little less um, of like this overwhelming, huge galaxy threatening thing. But yeah, I do like that Raynar is probably going to be involved a bit more. I like Zek in this book quite a bit as well. It is kind of funny that like he just gets no consequences. He's like, I killed a man. They're like, it's cool.
Oh, here's a ship. Just go.
Yeah. I also thought it was really funny that so Raynar Thule, they're worried that he's going to be like attacked or kidnapped, and Han's like, well, the best protection is probably at Luke's Jedi Temple anyway. Like, more kids
Where
have
have you
died
been? Yeah.
from Luke's Jedi school than have
They were
graduated.
literally just invaded. I guess now the New Republic is sending some
Mhm.
more people to help, but
Building a new shield generator and
yeah, there's going to be troops stationed in orbit.
Mhm.
Like attack it 5 or 6 times. They do eventually learn the lesson, and maybe
for a
Luke will
while, it's
stop
not
running away at
super.
this point.
Yeah, and then it gets invaded like 2 years later, and it's not super well protected then.
Yeah, but isn't that like that's Yuzon Vong though? You kind of gotta
Mhm.
because they started evacuating before then. It was
Mhm.
really just Tahiri and Anakin that suffer for that.
Yeah, that's true. And Master Ikrit.
Well, he made his choice.
Done.
Ikrit's just like hiding in the background right now on Yavin while all this is happening.
Mhm.
So he's really not taking responsibility for what really should be here.
Same with what's his name, the TIE pilot. He's back hiding out too, right?
Yeah, he just crashed on the plane. He's like, I'm gonna stick around this time.
Probably will just stay here.
Yeah, because he shows back up in NJO, but
for a bit. So yeah, so we've got Zek. Another kind of mini plot is Zek's story here, and we see the experience of his dumbass home planet, which
yeah,
is like,
nth.
Because it's dumb to the nth degree. Basically, what happens is every 8 or so years, there's these massive like volcano eruptions, and the planet itself just it has like seismic activity and stuff, and so it basically wipes the planet of life every 8 years. And you'd think that most people would be like, okay, let's not stay here, but they're like, well, the soil do be pretty good though. So every 8 years they rebuild their entire civilization, farm for those 8 years, and then wait till the last moment to leave, almost always resulting in casualties.
Yeah, and you'd think like they'd be really good at preparing to get out, but Zek gets there, and what was the lady's name?
Can't remember.
Omega
There's some-
Shenron, something
yeah.
like. So
Yeah.
so Zek is staying with her, and this is someone who
That's
is
crazy.
I think like 4 years older than Zek. She had been in charge of helping the last evacuation, which is when Zek left the planet.
And when his parents died.
Yeah, so her and her husband are kind of the new characters introduced for this. And while they're trying to escape the planet, she runs back into their house to grab the plans for their next house that they're going to build when they come back. And the house just collapses and crushes her. Like, you'd think they'd know to pack beforehand. And, like, this is clearly a don't run back into the burning building situation. You can get the plans later, you can remake them later. Her husband doesn't really seem to care that much. He's like, oh, maybe I'll get married again later. This is just a cycle of things.
He's like, people do be dying.
Yeah, it's like, Zach says, but how many people are going to die? It's like, oh, yes, but how many people will be born? That's not a counter argument. How many people who die are going to be those fucking babies because they can't get off the world? Literally go anywhere else and you'll be safer. It's like the people on Galantos or Yul Shaw in Jedi Academy, but at least they were abandoned there and couldn't really do anything about it. So I guess they did stay later when they were given a choice. Like, these people get kicked off, come back, build up again, die, leave, come back. It's just stupid. Just go to Dantooine.
Yeah, like, or if you're going to live there, live in your spaceships. Like,
Yeah.
park on the surface, then live in your spaceships.
Yeah, and then just
And
take
then
off. It's much better.
when it's time to leave, leave. Like there are big spaceships that you can live in.
Yeah.
Like, don't be stupid.
Yeah, they just like Zek is like, no, I thought I wanted to go home, but this isn't for me. You're all kind of dumb.
It's like, yeah, it's actually terrible here.
Yeah.
Like my parents were stupid. I'm glad they're dead. He didn't say that, but he
He was
definitely
thinking
crossed
it.
his
We
mind.
were all thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like, it was cool because it was kind of like, it was stupid in universe, but like it's something that I also kind of could imagine happening. Like, so it was kind of neat.
Well, I can see people having a natural disaster happen and then they want to move back to where they live. But if it's like clockwork, every few years, the whole thing is just going to be definitely wiped out, and there's nothing you can do about it except for try to leave. But then you take absolutely no steps to prepare to leave for the next time. Like at a certain point, come on. I don't want to blame the victims here, but it's entirely their fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or have a moon or something that you can go to for, because then they stay up in the ships, the big freighters they're living in. They stay there for 2 years.
Yeah.
And it sounds really shitty.
Yeah.
The whole time. So Zek's life, like because after that happens, Zek basically runs away to Coruscant and he steals, and then he works for, what's his name again?
Peckham.
Peckham for a bit. That sounded way better. And like Zek's
Yeah.
life as a bounty hunter, which is what he's doing now, sounds way better.
See, I thought it was weird that he made that choice. He decides he doesn't want to be part of the Jedi Academy, which fair enough. He just went through a lot at a different academy.
Mm-hmm.
And his decision is that he's going to become a bounty hunter. And I don't think he really knows how it works. Where he's talking about it like he's going to go around saving people and use the information from being a bounty hunter to do that. But like, no, I don't. He thinks he was bounty hunting when he found the kids, but he wasn't. And he's talking about like how he's gonna get the bounty for Mr. Thole, it sounded like. Or he's gonna use the
really
information
how
to
that
find it.
works.
It's like, yeah.
So are you going to give his information to the pad guys? Like, because that's how that works.
Yeah. And Jaina says, because this is after Zek comes and rescues them with Han, and she's like, if you're going to be a bounty hunter, my dad can give you all these tips on living under the radar. I was like, I don't think Han likes bounty hunters, actually.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be something he wants to help with.
Yeah, I mean, especially where Zek's like 16. I think he's a little older than Jaina, but like he's not so old that their like obvious blossoming romance is weird. So
yeah,
because that we do start to see like more of the actual romance in this book, like between Zek and Jaina and Tahiri and Jason. There's like one scene where they think they're gonna die, and it's like, sorry,
Tahiri.
Tahiri.
That would be even
Not
weirder. Yet. That's much later and definitely one of the most inappropriate things in Star Wars. That's cool.
Only slightly less inappropriate than Tahiri and Anakin.
Yeah, or Ben.
Fuck.
Tahiri and Anakin is
That's
fine.
the new name, Star Wars.
Well, their names are fine. You're the one that can't remember who characters are.
That's completely fair. I've got no counter to that.
Just because they both start with T doesn't mean Tahiri and Tenel Ka are really that similar.
Tahiri Tenel Ka is fine. The solo kids the Jason and Jaina, that's fine. But I always call Ben Anakin and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, you get
because now it's Ben Solo.
Yeah.
And
fair enough.
And there already was an Anakin Skywalker, so.
See, I thought for the last book or two we got more of the Tenel Ka is into Jason angle. In this book, we get more of the Jason's into Tenel Ka angle. So I forget.
I think Jason's just a little kind of. I think Jason's just a little clueless.
Yeah. Well, he thinks that she doesn't. That he needs to like impress her or something, and that he's beneath her. Like, he's putting her on a weird pedestal, which you should never do. That's just when you
Don't put the Hapen on a pedestal. That's what they always say.
Yeah. That's how he ends up on some weird incel subreddit.
Yeah. This weird girl doesn't even like me, and she's only got one arm, so Where does she get off? She'd be lucky to have a Chad like me.
He does fall off a spaceship, so.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I wasn't sure if it was. Yeah, I guess it was her and Raynar that stopped him from hitting the ground, so that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like Raynar's just doing nice things for them all book. He's doing all this work for them. His dad's missing, and he is being a bit of a prick about it. But he's Raynar. What do you expect?
I don't know. I think he's being kind of reasonable. Like he's going through something tough.
Yeah, he's just insufferable though, as a general character trait.
Yeah, but even Luke at
insufferable.
the end is like, maybe try being nicer to Raynar.
Yeah.
And is like also, yeah, it's my birthday too, dickheads.
I'm sure R2 remembered.
Oh yeah.
And Mara probably did as well. Mara's around.
Hopefully Leia remembered. She was there.
Yeah, well, yeah, they don't talk to each other very much apparently. They're having a falling out.
Yeah, and then it's kind of awkward because Mara and Leia always kind of seem like best friends later on. So, wonder what happened.
Do they? How often do Mara and Leia talk before NJO? Because like
Not often at all. I was just talking about NJO.
yeah, but I'm trying to think of like if anything happens before then, and then we get the first scene with. I guess there's the 2 missing years where no stories really happen because Mara does take Jaina as her apprentice, so maybe that's when their relationship kind of develops.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, Leia's also feeling jealous of Jaina for, Leia's feeling jealous of Mara for being so
For
close
putting
to
an
Jaina.
effort in with her children.
Yeah.
Which Mara trained Chasen for a while too?
She trains Anakin.
Anakin, okay. Oh yeah, is that in Legacy before she dies?
No, you're thinking of Ben again, but
I remember a scene where she's with one of the kids and she's like doesn't let them use the Force to move boxes.
Yeah, she's with Anakin on Dantooine when she is recovering at that point.
Oh yeah, right.
Because Jaina's off doing other stuff. That's when she joins Rogue Squadron, and Mara's sick, so they send Anakin to look after Mara, and Anakin's all upset about it. So Mara tries to teach him to not be an impulsive little shit like he usually is.
Mm-hmm.
The solo kids, like the gap between Young Jedi Knights and NJO, really, and Junior Jedi Knight, it's not really that long. It's maybe a year, maybe 2 years by the end, and they're just everything changes so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just the tone of the writing too, I think.
Yeah. Well, Jason is like completely insufferable at the start of NJO.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And then stays that way.
Yeah, he's pretty much always. He's 30, and like he's one of those characters like in Legacy of the Force. He's 30 or so, but he doesn't feel that old. Like the way he talks and stuff.
Yeah. It's like the thing with like the Jason and Tanel Call relationship as well is that it doesn't really ever. Well, obviously it comes to something because of Alana, but there's never really a point where they're actually together openly. It's just at some point we hear they had sex and the baby came from that.
He does have those weird visits from what I remember. Doesn't he have like kind of some weird visits with Tanel Call like after she's born where like
like Dark Nest is kind of
quasi-abusive.
Most of it. And then there's some stuff in Legacy of the Force where he's already kind of dark side and they're on the outs.
Because he kidnaps her, doesn't he, near the end of it?
Yeah. But then he basically throws the fight against Jaina so he can warn Tanel Call and Alana to get to safety. Which even though like Jaina was kicking his ass, so it wasn't going to matter.
Yeah, no. That's like the closest he comes to redemption though, and it's not very close. And then he gets
and he's in that gross pit when Luke and Ben come find him. That's the only part that I really that and the weird sexual assault stuff. That's the stuff that I feel like was the weirdest with his character arc, where like after his death there was no
he never gets any redemption or like he never gets saved or anything, which is something usually you get for Star Wars characters. Like if there's a bit of good in them, usually, especially where they've been set up as a good character for so long, usually they get that save, but Jason really
especially
doesn't.
when they set up Jason as like what his motivations were for doing what he did. And
Mhm.
then in that scene with Luke and Ben later, it's just kind of like evil McBad guy to the max.
Mhm.
And he kind of closes
Yeah,
out
because
that way as
Jason,
well.
even more so than Anakin, his fall is sympathetic based on, because again, it's pretty similar where he's seeing visions of the future and he's obviously being manipulated somewhat, and his version of Palpatine is basically Lumaya, and she takes advantage of like his insecurities and turns him. So it's like it's always the same thing with these main characters turning to the dark side. It's like they have good reasons or good intentions at least, but poor execution or
Yeah.
a lack of discipline or whatever else.
Like that's one of the reasons that I like Jason's arc, is because it's set up better than Anakin's is.
Mhm.
But the way it ends is a bit weirder than Anakin's.
I wonder if that's something they ever would have, like, if they ever could have or would have addressed in future novels. I
It
mean, he's
doesn't really
dead, so there's only so
seem
much
like
you can
it.
do. But
Yeah, because they had that opportunity with
the
the scene
Netherworld
with him
stuff,
in the little
yeah.
pit. But I'm also
Mhm.
not sure how. I can't remember how real that was supposed to be, or if
It's
they were
like
just
it's pretty up for
apparitions.
interpretation.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially with Abeloth involved. But it's just not a very star. Yeah, I don't know. Star Wars is usually pretty hopeful. Like, if you've got good in your hearts or your heart, you can be redeemed, even if
yeah, because like the main thing that Luke was doing with Fate of the Jedi was trying to like retrace Jason's steps.
So it would have been nice to have like a proper conclusion, I
Yeah,
guess.
like it just felt like such a secondary thing to kind of bring him back how they did,
Hmm.
and just have it be the way it was when that was kind of central to what Luke was doing.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
uh,
point. I'm excited to get there.
yeah,
It'll
got
be a while, but
we got basically a whole year worth of episodes just for NJO.
yeah. And then Legacy of the Forces. I think Legacy's 9 and Fate of the Jedi's 11, right?
No, they're each 9 because it was
Oh, okay.
3 sets of 3 by
Right,
3
right. Yeah,
authors for both of them. It
right.
was which one was Alston doing? Was that Fate of the Jedi
I
or was
think that
that
was
Legacy
Legacy
of
of
the
the Force.
Force?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
that was Legacy of the Force.
so Legacy of the Force was Alston, Travis, and Denning, and then Fate of the Jedi was Denning, Golden,
Christy Golding, yeah.
and
And
who's the third one?
also, wasn't it Karen Travis again?
I don't
Or
think
no, because
so. I
there's
don't
not really
remember
any
any
weird Mando stuff.
Mandalorians. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Aaron. No, yeah, Alston did both, I guess.
Did he?
Yeah,
Okay. So they
yeah.
just it
To be
was
honest,
all.
I thought he had passed away by then, but it wasn't until
Mhm.
2014.
Yeah, he would have been right
So
when the
sad.
fire
He was
happened.
only in
53 or
his,
something.
yeah, 54, I think, or 53. Yeah. So that's really sad. He'd still
Mhm.
probably be active. Like he'd only be in his early 60s. So
Yeah.
very sad. By all accounts, a very nice man as well.
Mhm. There's a real one.
Hmm.
Yeah, because he wrote Mercy Kill like right before.
Yeah, and that was that 2014 that Mercy Kill came out.
That was 2012, 2013.
2012. Yeah.
But yeah, so Shards of Alderaan.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. It was a very short one,
Mhm.
even by Young Jedi Knights standards.
Yeah, we pretty
Another
much touched
enjoyable
on
one
literally
though.
everything that happened already, and a bunch of stuff that didn't because Luke's birthday
Yeah.
was unacknowledged.
Hmm. Again, I really like it though. Like half of it's just them fucking around in the jungle. I always love Yavin as a setting. I
Mhm.
think it's fun because there's like literally lots for the kids to explore. There's always new mysteries. Um, and then they meet another space slug in Alderaan. There's always like one thing I do like is they're calling M the translate droid MT, isn't it? Is that what they call him? Is that his
Yeah,
name? MD. They're
Quicksilver.
calling him now Quicksilver now, which I assume is their version of Goldenrod, which is what Han always calls
Yeah.
3PO. So I thought that was kind of nice. But yeah, a pretty short one. I really enjoyed it though. It's good stuff.
Where's this rank on your overall NJO, or not NJO, your overall Young Jedi Knights?
I don't know. I really liked it. I liked it more than I think like the main like clashes of the previous series. I thought going to Alderaan was fun. The kids do feel like they're getting older as well, which is one thing I like. Like they're actually, this is the first time where like they actually have responsibility to go do something, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's definitely something like really irresponsible. Like they're expected to use spacesuits and stuff, like crazy. Definitely top half though for me. I
don't think anyone really knew what they were going to be doing when they were out there. I don't know if Han would have agreed if he knew what was going on exactly. And like Luke doesn't give a fuck what anyone does. He's just usually.
I don't think anyone even tells Luke. It's like, I'm going.
Well, Luke's probably off chasing Callista as well, even though he's married to Mara.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's probably thinking about her in lonely moments when Mara's out with Talon Card
and Lando.
Yeah.
Right. So we do have a few questions. I saved some from the last episode when we were talking about Bad Batch.
Let me check some out. We've been getting a lot of spam lately, which has been really annoying.
Very sad.
Yeah.
Some that want sponsorships, but none that are legitimate.
I'll read the first one from Hans. What is one Star Wars book or book series that you think is overrated, and what is one you think is underrated, should get more love? I'm a big fan of the Dark Horse Star Wars comics like Purge, Tyrants, and I even like Crimson Empire more than most. What are your thoughts on that, Corey?
I think the number one underrated one for us is probably MedStar, out of especially everything that we covered on the podcast. Like, I don't think either of us expected to go in and love that as much as we did. And it's not one that you really hear too much.
We heard about it at my tournament though.
Yeah.
Which I was
that R1?
I think it was.
No, that was
it was Little Hammer.
Yeah.
I almost called him Little Mustache because he's got a mustache.
Yeah, so
yeah, I was very impressed with that.
Yeah. Got the deep cuts out there.
I agree. That's probably my most underrated as well.
And I think generally, like, Matthew Stover's stuff is like, Stover's probably not someone who comes up a lot in the pantheon of Star Wars EU authors. When people mention it, like, they'll probably usually
I thought you were going to say he was overrated for a second.
No.
I was going to be very surprised.
People will always say, like, Timothy Zahn, Aaron Alston, Michael Stackpole, Kim J. Anderson, Karen Travis. Like, those are kind of the main names. Like, but very rarely hear Matthew Stover, and like the episode 3 novelization is really good. I really love Traitor. And I'm probably going to go back and reread Traitor again, even though I basically just read it. So yeah, those are my answers for underrated.
Okay, for me, I think we may also agree on overrated. Darth.
Do you have any other underrated before?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I think iJedi is one of those weird ones where like a lot of people hate it and a lot of people love it, and I'm in the we're both in the love it, so I would include that. I don't know. I like these books have been, I think, underrated because
I feel like they're pretty widely loved.
Yeah,
Young Jedi
Knights. Might be right. But yeah, for me, overrated is definitely Darth Bane. I think that's such an overrated series. People hold that up as like the must. I see it so much. I never comment on it because it's just an opinion ultimately. But every time I see somebody recommend Darth Bane as the must-read Star Wars Legends book, I'm like, it's schlocky to me. Like it's like power fantasy schlock.
Yeah, like I agree there. And for me as well, Jedi Academy trilogy, I don't really love.
Fair enough. I think the Thrawn duology is also underrated. Sorry.
I was thinking about a kind of hot take that maybe, and this isn't saying it's bad, but if we're gonna say slightly slightly overrated for how it's held up as just a general book, not just a Star Wars book. There's a chance that maybe the Thrawn trilogy is just slightly overrated.
I don't know if I can agree, to be honest, because I
Like,
like it as just a book too. But I get where you're coming from. But
I really like it, but I feel like it's held up sometimes as a gold standard that it doesn't quite like. It's held up as being slightly better than it actually is, which is like marginally overrated. I'm not saying it's bad. I still love it, but I think it might be just a tad overrated.
I think for me, the only part that's overrated would be the ending. I think it doesn't nail the ending necessarily with the clone stuff.
Well, I think what it is that the importance of it in establishing the expanded universe sometimes gets conflated with being like slightly better than it is.
I don't know. For me, it's the like I see where you're coming from, but I disagree because for me, it's one of the only books that really captures the heart of the original trilogy for me. Like reading it, like in the characters and like I feel like I get the same feeling kind of as the original trilogy
Okay,
for me
well,
personally. But
yeah, like that's your opinion. You're welcome to it. And the fact that we've had a slight disagreement means the podcast is canceled.
okay, sweet.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Do you have any others you want to add to that? So that's an interesting question. I hadn't really thought
No,
about.
I think my big ones for overrated are probably Jedi Academy and Darth Bane as well.
Okay. Next we have is Mark. He says, "Hey guys, love the podcast. I've been listening to the Young Jedi Knights audiobooks. I assume he means the pre-recorded ones like I've been listening to, or the auto-generated ones like I've been listening to.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should make a drink game every time I hear the reader say, 'Hey,' and this is a fact." That's what Tenel Call always says. I know that people keep asking if he'll discuss certain books. It's just a matter of time. But when do you somewhat expect NJO and the Thrawn? And he's also wondering whether he thinks the Thrawn trilogy or duology, whether we think the Thrawn trilogy or duology is better. I prefer the trilogy, but the duology is very good for different reasons. It's less action oriented. It's much more like a thing that exists like inside the EU at that point.
Yeah.
And like whereas like the Thrawn trilogy is like he was just writing that with like some like West End game stuff, but really kind of just writing it.
Yeah, like I do think the trilogy is probably the better one there.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so long since I've read duology, so maybe I will like it better. But I'm not sure when we're gonna be able to get to NJO.
I'm gonna guess
what
2020, mid 2022. Like I think about a year from now, to be honest.
Well, I've
Maybe
been kind of thinking
longer.
about what it would look like when we get there. Like, how do we structure that? Because we're definitely gonna have other episodes kind of thrown in. So, like, what do we need to do before then? What are we gonna do while we do it?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like we still have a lot of Legends material to get through before then. Like even the Bantam books. Like we've got. I'm just thinking of like Corellian trilogy,
Black
and we've
Fleet
got
Crisis,
Black Fleet. That's 6 right there, and we very rarely
duology,
do.
Survivor's Quest.
Yeah, we very rarely do like 6 straight weeks of books. So like that will end up being like 12 weeks. Yeah, we've got.
Well, that's why I'm thinking. Like, is it a kind of thing where we'll end up, like maybe after we finish the last Young Jedi Knights book, do we end up doing Vector Prime and then?
No, I really think we should finish the Bantam stuff first.
So you want to go like fully in order that way?
I think so. I'm open to considering other things, but yeah.
I'm just thinking about like what are we gonna. I guess there'll be like new releases that we put in the middle of stuff,
and we can go back and do like if we haven't done Jedi Prince by then, we can do that or like comics and stuff.
I feel like Jedi Prince is going to be something that we kind of do like these, where we put them in the off weeks where they're like a bit easier for us to get done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, agreed. Agreed. We also, I was thinking this too. I should have recommended we read this instead of Crystal Star. We should have done next week the new book, Heart of the Jedi, but I forgot about that.
Is that coming out?
No, I mean the one.
Never mind. Yeah. Not Light of the. Yeah.
But we can do that whenever. Light of the Jedi doesn't come out till June, I think.
Yeah, I feel like we've said we're gonna do Crystal Star and then not done Crystal Star
No,
so
I
many
agree. We
times
have to do
that
it
we
now.
have to do
There's
it now.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the uh, so we're doing Crystal Star next week. Then, and we're also doing a Bad Batch episode next week, so that'll probably be earlier in the week. We don't really have a set day for that, but probably end up being like Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of wondering whether I've been thinking about whether we should rearrange the schedule, and
Okay.
move Bad Batch to Friday. But I don't know. That would mean no Thursday show, and we're kind of gotten used to it at this point.
Yeah, I mean we could change it, but
Mm-hmm.
we actually
Just
talk about
because.
Bad Batch when it's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the right
Yeah.
thing to do.
Yeah. So we'll think about that anyway. Not for tomorrow,
Not for
but maybe
tomorrow,
for
but
next episode.
yeah, we'll figure that
No
out.
guarantee. We'll post about it on Twitter, whatever we do.
Yeah. So our next question is from Christopher, who says, "When it comes to the four main characters of the Young Jedi Knight series, how would you rank them from your favorite to your least favorite? Keep in mind, I'm mainly referring to how they're written and portrayed solely in Young Jedi Knights. I bet 100 credits that Corey's least favorite is Jason."
I like the Lobaka the most, I think.
Hmm.
um, it's a good question. I think Tenel Ka is a bit boring how she's written, but we have the other thing about Tenel. I think Tenel Ka on average is pretty boring, but like the books about her have been really good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Jason can be kind of annoying, but I enjoy the comedy. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know that I have like it's always so skewed by what the most recent one is because there'll be some books
Mm-hmm.
where one or two of them are just like completely sidelined. Like Lobaka has nothing to do in this one,
Mm-hmm.
but in the which one was it when they were on? It's Darkest Night where they're on Kashyyyk, and he has a lot more
Mm-hmm.
to do in that one. And in that one, he's kind of head and shoulders above the other ones, which is a joke about
Yeah.
how tall he is.
Yeah.
And like sometimes Jason just like gets one liner in, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think Jaina's kind of the most middle of the road,
I think
bleh,
she's probably
most
most
often.
frequently the main character as well.
Yeah, but she's just a lot more of a blank slate in a lot of them than the other characters are. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's fewer defining characteristics for them, which
Mm-hmm.
partially means she has fewer of the like annoying tropes going on with her. But because of how short the books are, there's not as much time to really develop the characters beyond whatever their annoying tropes are, which
Mm-hmm.
kind of makes her a little bit more bland. But
Yeah.
like
No,
I
I
like all of
agree with
them,
that.
so I
Yep.
it's hard to give a direct ranking.
Do you want to get the next one?
All right, our next question is from Dakota, who asked, "Do you prefer the voice of Legend for the audiobook? Do you prefer the voice of Legend Thrawn with the more baritone and confident, or Canon Thrawn with the whispery guy? Do you think the
It's
deductions and
it's the
logic stuff
same
is better in
guy.
either case?"
It's the same guy. It's why am I forgetting his name? He does all the Star Wars audio, well, a lot of the Star Wars. Um, why am I forgetting his name? Can't drive. Mark Thompson. He does both the 20th anniversary like Thrawn books and all the new Thrawn ones, and all he does is he's changed his voice to more closely match Rebels. It doesn't end up being that different. I prefer his like he would have actually been my choice to voice Thrawn in Rebels. Although I think Mickelson ended up doing a great job. I just thought it was probably just because he's who I associated with his voice because he'd been doing the audiobooks for a while. Um, he's almost like a little slurred in canon. I guess you've never listened to the audiobooks, Corey,
No.
but he talks like very like this and like it's hard to explain. He tries to kind of mimic the Rebels voice, and I think it works, but I do prefer Legends.
Yeah.
Um,
And they also asked how we feel about the deductions and all that, if that's better in like the earlier stuff or in the later stuff. Because I don't think it's as much a canon and legends distinction. It's
no.
more of an earlier's on and later's on thing. Like Outbound Flight is where it really kind of flips.
Hmm. We did see it a bit in the last book we read, where he logics through. Can't remember what exactly. Something kind of near the end of the book, and I
Yeah,
enjoyed
but
that.
with those, I think the difference is more how it's explained. Where initially it's like the kind of impenetrable, and even when he explains it, it doesn't really make that much sense. Versus now, it's a bit more grounded, and after the fact, it kind of you can see how he reached the conclusion he did, and I do like how it's explained more now versus the original like Thrawn trilogy presentation of it.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite bit is still the who's on which ship. Remember that from the
Yeah,
Thrawn trilogy?
that's always what I think of. Like, no,
Yeah,
no.
that's one case where I do think it improved kind of as we went on. I think our next question is from we answered that one.
I think it's Joel's.
Joel's. Let me see. I think I lost that question. Can you read it?
Do you think Jason Solo should have turned into a Sith Lord, or do you think he should have been just a Darksider without the Sith label? Perhaps someone who did not consider himself a Darksider, but clearly was doing evil things, despite thinking he was in the right. Curious to hear your thoughts here.
No, I think he worked better as a Sith. Like, I think the Sith works because ultimately the Sith are like this power that propagates evil, and he gets turned by a Sith, and I think Lumaya plays a pretty important role in making his kind of fall more believable. So I don't think I'd want to necessarily remove her and thus the Sith from the equation.
Yeah, like the whole Darth Vectivus thing, and like, you can see how he does get kind of turned around and think like, oh, maybe it's just the Sith I know about did it wrong, and I'm going to do it right this time, and I have good intentions, so clearly it'll be okay for me. And I do like that it's kind of lampshaded the entire time as like, no, what he's doing is actually wrong, and the Sith label helps with that. But we'll probably have a lot more to say about that once we get to Betrayal.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Or even
Was
in
that it?
Darkness, because there is kind of that progression towards, and then Sith
Yeah.
is kind of the next logical step for what's going on with him.
Isn't that series pretty much open with Jason flow walking?
Yeah, because he's doing all of his weird Force stuff throughout Darkness. Like he basically turns into pure light fighting Onimi, and then he just never comes down from that.
Cheats at League of Legends with the Force.
Yeah, he was a big league player. I think he was a jungler, and that's why he rages all the time. Once those balance changes came in for season 11, he was done.
Okay, you've exceeded my League of Legends knowledge. Is there anything else in the little question box?
No, I don't think so. Our question box has been drained.
Another thing that's been drained is my goddamn patience with the community. Because I've asked you guys to leave some funny, epic, and helpful reviews for our podcast. And I went to go check them today. Nothing new. Leave some reviews. I'll read them out next episode.
All right. Do it. Or else he'll cry again.
Yeah. I'm going to make my children cry. No, I'm not even going to joke about that.
Don't do that.
I can't even joke about that. I spent like all day today building Gus a goddamn slide. The kids are so spoiled. But yeah.
It's weird. The slide just plays Star Wars lore videos on the way down.
Dude, this kid is obsessed with Star Wars. I was putting him to bed last night and or a couple nights ago, and he goes, "Chewbacca loves you." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he did it. I was like, "Can you do a Chewbacca impression?" And he did it, and it was okay. Did I play it? I think on one of our streams.
Yeah, I think you did on the Stellaris stream.
Hold on.
What sound does Chewbacca make? What does Chewbacca sound like?
So not bad. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today. Anything you want to end off with? Corey loses.
No, just remember, watch Bad Batch. That'll be our next episode. And then after that, it's Waru time. So get reading Crystal Star. Send in your questions to tapcaftransmissions@gmail.com. Leave your reviews on whatever podcast platform you use. let me know how much you think that my slight opinion there meant that I actually hate the Thrawn trilogy. And
We'll leave him 5 stars.
yeah, and the more you can call us shills, the better, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Beer Your Cart tonight in 45 minutes. Anyone watching live with special guest Kevin Cool X.
Wow. Another guest on Beer Your Cart. Let's see if we can alienate them in one stream or more.
I think we could probably get pretty close.
The soundboard needs to go. Right. You know what else needs to go? It's us. So thank you for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening, all you audio people. We'll see you next time for more transmissions from the